Good morning, everyone, and a huge welcome to the Meet Your Future on Thursday morning of National Careers Week 2022. My name's Claire Walker, and I'm part of the Bridge DM team at Greater Manchester Combined Authority. I'm joined by my colleague Tom, and he's from the same team as me. Tom's helping me and making sure that everyone can join in and hear and get involved with the session this morning. In a moment, we'll be hearing from a lady called Jackelyn Taylor, and she's from an organisation called Mencap. She's going to walk and talk us through a presentation about the world of work, and she's devised this sessions for students with additional support needs, and we really hope that parents, carers and teachers and support staff can find this information useful too. Just to explain a little bit about Meet Your Future, if you've not heard of it before, Meet Your Future is a programme of activities and events that allows young people like yourselves to learn and understand about the different jobs that people have in the world, what they do in those jobs on a day-to-day basis, and how they actually got into that job. This might include them talking about what you need to do in school, college, maybe an apprenticeship, maybe a supported internship, and your careers teacher at school can help you understand that information too. Another thing that you might already know about is an internet platform that we've got called GMACS. So that's GMACS. GMACS stands for the Greater Manchester Apprenticeship and Career Service. GMACS can give students, teachers, parents and carers lots of different information and advice to help you know what you might do after you leave your school or college. I'll make sure that Tom puts the details of GMACS in the chat function, and you can ask your teacher for help to get onto that, or you could maybe even look at that yourself at home if you've not already started. Throughout the session, please do make use of the question box for questions. As I say, you might have to go through your teacher because I know a lot of you be in a classroom and you're all watching this through one screen. So if you do have a question as Jackelyn's going through her presentation, please put it in the chat, and when she's finished speaking, we'll certainly come back to the questions and I'm sure Jackelyn can provide an answer. I'm now really delighted to hand you over to Jackelyn. Enjoy the session.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Claire, for that introduction. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing okay this morning. As Claire mentioned, my name is Jackelyn, and I'll give you a chance to get to know me a bit better in a second. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the world of work. And it's going to be sort of split up into two things, really. So we're going to start off by talking a little bit more about the world of work and specifically why people want to go into work and the benefits of it. And I'm also going to talk to you a little bit more about my job and what we do here at Mencap. Now, wherever you are in your classrooms with your teachers, whether you're at home with your parents, carers, just make some sort of sign or raise your hand if you've actually heard of Mencap before. So just let your teacher know if you've heard of Mencap, what we do. You might have seen us on an advert before, and if you haven't, that's absolutely fine because that's what we're here to learn. So that's all good. A little hello from me. As I've said, my name is Jackelyn. You can see my picture there if you need to see it a bit more clearly. And I work for Mencap, and I will talk a little bit more about what it is that we do and specifically what I do. My job role is an employment caseworker, which is very long, and I've not heard of this. I hadn't heard of this job before I actually started it. And I don't think a lot of people really know what we do or what this name really means. But really, I just help people find jobs and feel more confident in themselves. And later on in the session, I will talk a little bit more about exactly what it is I do in my day-to-day life and why it is that I enjoy it and how I ended up in this type of job. A bit more about myself so you can sort of get to know me a bit. Some of my likes and my dislikes. I love music. I use music a lot when I'm working. I'm sure some of you maybe is the same. I like yoga, I like to keep fit, I like to keep my mind moving and my body moving to make sure that I can do the things that I want to do. And I love coffee, maybe a bit too much. I've had quite a few this week. That really helps me get through a work day. And long walks. And the best combination is coffee with a long walk. And I really like the sea as well. Some of my dislikes would have to be spiders. Don't know if any of you will agree, and also bad weather because I can't go on my bad walks when there's bad weather. So just a little bit about me, a little bit of background aside from sort of what my job is as well. So as I said, we're going to cover a few things today. Hopefully everyone will be able to take something away from today's session. We're going to introduce Mencap and what we do. We're going to think a little bit about why people work, and before this session you might have had an activity, or you might have completed the activity to do with this, thinking about why people work and the best sort of reasons for going to work. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the different types of jobs at Mencap, and the different types of things that people in our team might do. My job role specifically, giving you more of an insight into that, and a few top tips for the world of work, whether you've had a little bit of experience in work before or whether you've not. I'll offer a couple of little tips of things that you could do, or some next steps that might help you out going forward. Okay, so hopefully by the end of today you will learn who we are, you'll understand some of the benefits of going to work, and hopefully you'll think a little bit about yourself as well, and your own skills and some of the things you might want to do in the future, and generally feel a bit more positive about going into the world of work. Okay, now who are we at Mencap? This might be a good idea to talk a little bit about who we are and what we do. And if you've heard of us before, you might already have a bit of an idea. You might have also done a bit of research into us already if you've been able to take a little look at our website and have a little look to see what we do. We are a charity and we're based across England, Wales and Ireland. And we support people with learning disabilities, learning difficulties and autism and their families as well. And we support them in lots of different areas of their life. And the charity started in 1946. So for anyone that's good with their maths, that means that we've been around for around 66 years, if I've got that right, which is a pretty long time. I've not been with Mencap for 66 years, but that's how long that we've been around for. And we help people in lots of different types of ways with their housing. If someone wants to maybe live more independently, maybe they want to live with someone else or somewhere else, or maybe they just need help in the house that they're in, we help them with that. We can help with any money, if anyone's got questions about money or their finances. Social care, so if someone needs care sort of at home or doing things in their day-to-day life. And we can also help with things like relationships and general health. So we might offer some advice on how people can maybe make friends and meet new people. And we also help with jobs, which is mainly what I do. So we have lots of different people across Mencap doing lots of different things. And this is what we're going to talk a little bit more about in the second part of this session. But the first part, we're going to focus mainly on why people work and generally sort of the world of work. Okay. Now, before this session, you might have been asked to complete an activity where you could create a help sheet, or you could have just written a list or had a chat with some people that you know about why people might decide to go to work. And before I go into it, I'd like for you to just maybe give a show of hands or let your teacher know, let your parents, carers know whether you want to work. So just take a moment. Do you guys want a job? Okay, if you don't want a job, maybe you'd like to do some volunteering, or maybe there is something else that you want to try. There's no right or wrong answer to this. You could also put your hand up if you've done work before. Okay, so raise your hand or give your teacher some sort of sign, whether you've done a little bit of work before, whether you've done some work experience. Okay, so hopefully we've been able to share some of that, which is great. And a big part of my job is actually helping people see what some of the benefits are for working, or to ask people why they want to work and some of the reasons that might be useful for them. Now, hopefully you've been able to share some of these ideas, whether you've created a help sheet, spoken to someone else, or maybe you've just written them down in a nice little list. That's absolutely great. And some of the reasons that I often get told, or some of the reasons that I often share with people, are the following things. To make friends and to meet new people. Going to work is a really good way of course, meeting people that might have the same interests as you. And really you have a new small group of people that you can now go out with and do things with and talk to, which is great. Some people work just to earn money. They might want to live more independently, so they might want to help with buying the shopping, for example, or they might want to live away from the home for a little while, or they might want to live with someone else, or they might just want to buy the things that they want or the things that they need, which can be really important for certain people. You might want to work to stay busy, to get out of the house, to make sure that you're using your time up in the day. Or maybe there is something that you enjoy, that you really love going to work for. And this is probably one of the best reasons to go to work, is to do something that you feel like you enjoy. And that can be anything from maybe meeting new people. You might really enjoy a job where you're working with a computer, and that's something that you love doing and you're really passionate about. Some people would like to go to work to learn a new skill. Maybe they need to learn a new skill to do a certain job, or to gain some experience for a future job that they would like to do. You might also go to work for your mental health, to make sure that you're happy, basically, and to make sure that you're keeping fit as well, especially if you need to walk to work as well, for example. I know going to work definitely keeps me fit. Just for your general happiness. Your general well-being, making sure that you're getting out of bed in the morning and focusing on something that you enjoy. And now some of these reasons might have been the things that you have shared in some of your help sheets when you completed the activity, or some of the ideas that you talked about. And it might not just be one of these reasons that you want to go to work. It could be a few of these reasons. It could be all of these reasons, which is absolutely fantastic. And something to bear in mind is that it's not just about the reasons for going to work, but there are lots of different routes and ways of getting into work as well. And it's not necessarily the same for everybody. So it might be that you go through some form of supported internship, or you might decide to do an apprenticeship where you sort of work in a workplace where you'd get paid and maybe do a little bit of studying on the side. You might even start off by doing some volunteering and then moving into the world of work. So trying different activities, seeing what you enjoy, and then hopefully eventually do something where you can get paid for doing that. Something that I tend to help people with a lot is organising work trials or placements. And you might have heard of these before. If you haven't, these are basically things where you'd spend a little bit of time at a workplace, maybe a few days, maybe even a few weeks, and the workplace will basically just see how you get on in the job. You'll test out the job, you'll be given some tasks to do, and if you do a really good job and if you enjoy it, they might offer you an interview for a permanent job, or they might actually just give you the job based on how you did in your work trial. So it's just to say that there are lots of different ways of going into the world of work, and it is not necessarily the same for everybody, where we just apply for a job and then just hope that we get it, because it's not always like that. And there are lots of different types of support that you can get to help you with that as well. Okay, and a big part of sort of moving into the world of work, and something that we can start to think about, whether you've worked before or not, is to think about your sort of personal values. You might have heard of this word before, you might not, but a value is essentially something that we care about, or something that we feel is really important in our own lives. And sometimes these things might impact some of the decisions that we make, especially when it comes to things like jobs. Okay, now before the session, you might have been asked to have a little look at what some of our values are at Mencap, and I'll come back to that in a future session. But what I would like for you to do is just to take 5 minutes, and I will mute myself here and give you some time to either talk to someone next to you, talk to your parent, carer, or your teachers in your groups, and to think about what are some of the things you care about. And you can do that through answering these questions. Why is it that you want to go to work, if you do? Or why is it that you want to go to volunteer to do a certain thing? Why do you want to work, and what kind of things are important to you in your life? And so by starting to think about this, it kind of helps us make those first decisions, and it can kind of help us guide us through what type of things we might like to do in the future. Okay, so it might be that you value really being independent. Maybe you do just want to contribute to some bills. Maybe you want to pay for some of the shopping. Maybe you do have a goal in the future to live away from the family home, or to live with some other people. Maybe you really just want to earn money, as simple as that, because you would like to pay for things that you want or need. Maybe being close to friends and family and making sure you have a job nearby where you can see them all the time is really important to you. Maybe you want to learn new skills, or just do something that you love. Okay, so have a little think about what some of your values might be, why you'd want to go to work, and take about 5 minutes in your groups to talk about that. The time now is 10:16, so I will come back at about 10:20 or 10:21. And if anything comes through in the question box in the meantime, I will pick them back up when we come back to the call. Okay, thank you.
That's great, Jackelyn. We'll come back on in a few minutes, as Jackelyn said.
Okay, and we're back. this might be a good chance to see if there's been any questions. Hopefully there's been some discussions taking place wherever you are. So hopefully you've had some good, valuable conversations. Have there been any questions I could answer?
There have. It's not so much a question really, Jackelyn. It's more of a comment really in response to one of the earlier things that you said there about why people work or why it's important to work. And somebody has very correctly said, I'm not sure who the student is, but a comment's coming from St Monica's that says people want to work because they want to help the community and support others.
Yeah, absolutely. And that might actually link in with some of the things that are important to you as well. You might just want to give something back and do something important in your local community, which is a really, really great answer. I love that one.
No,
thank you.
Yeah, it's good. Just going forward, again, really encourage you, even if something pops up that maybe doesn't sound like it's directly in response to what Jackelyn's talking about, if you've got any thoughts or feedback or comments that you want to make, please pop them in, and we'll definitely make sure that we pass those out and we share them with everybody, and Jackelyn can maybe respond in some way. Thank you.
Yeah, please, that would be fantastic. Thanks so much, Claire. Okay, so if there is anything else that anyone wants to comment in there, please do let us know what some of your personal values are, some of the things that you talked about, because it's really great to know as well. So the second part of this really is going to focus a little bit more on, trying to move forward, some of the jobs that we have here at Mencap. And I guess the main point for this part is to demonstrate the different types of jobs that you can find in one place alone. So, for example, when we talk about things like maybe a hospital, and if I were to ask you what type of jobs are available in a hospital, you might say things like doctors, nurses, maybe surgeons, and that's absolutely right. You're definitely not wrong there. However, you would also find people like chefs in some of the hospital kitchens who prepare food for the patients. You might find cleaners who have a really important job, particularly at hospitals, drivers who take medication to and from, and ambulance drivers as well, and engineers who maybe look at the ambulances perhaps. So it's just to make the point that there's lots of different types of jobs in one place, and Mencap is similar. We're a really big charity and we have lots of different people doing lots of different things, and sometimes we can forget just how many jobs are available in one place. Okay, now one of the types of jobs we might have is an administrator. If you've not heard of administrator before, they do lots of different things, but they do spend a fair bit of time behind desks, and they do a lot of sort of computer related things. So they might do a lot of sort of filing, office work, scanning. They might do a lot of database inputting. And I know someone recently that, well, I say recently, but someone that I'm supporting that worked as an administrator for 12 years at a law firm, and they actually got that job through doing a 2-week placement, I think, and he did a lot of sort of scanning and filing and organising, and he was there for a really long time. He really enjoyed it. And we have lots of those at Mencap, and they basically help make sure that the charity runs smoothly. And they might deal with things like booking rooms or booking meetings for us all. We have volunteers, because you might know this, you might have visited before, but we do have charity shops, Mencap charity shops, and the volunteers are really important in helping those shops run. And without them, I'm not quite sure what we would do. It would be absolutely crazy. So we have lots of volunteers, not just in shops, but I think in some of the community work that we do as well. People that just want to volunteer for the charity and raise money for us. We have support workers who I think probably make up the majority of our staff at Mencap. And they do what it says in the title. They support people, they take care of people with certain needs, and they have a really, really important job. We also have IT support. So if anything ever goes wrong with my laptop, I just call IT, the people that deal with technology, and they will fix things for me. And thank goodness for them, because without my laptop, I'm not quite sure what I would do. So they have a really, really important job. Finance officers. So as a charity, we have people that maybe donate lots of money. We have people that fundraise money for us. And people in finance need to know how much money we have and where we're spending it and where it's going. We have tutors too, teachers essentially, who help people with their maths and their English. But we also have lots of other different types of jobs as well that maybe you wouldn't suspect. So drivers, mainly for our stores that might transport certain sort of products to our shops. Store managers, who obviously have to oversee the shop, and the volunteers as well. So they're really, really important. Now, we also have a storytelling lead, which I find really interesting. And I don't know if I've heard of this job before outside of Mencap, and I think it's been created for someone in particular. But our storytelling lead, I believe, is in charge of telling some of the good stories that we have at Mencap, of some of the work that we're doing, and some of the good news stories of the people that we support as well. So if somebody that we're supporting manages to get a job, for example, and maybe they've not been able to for a long time, that's a good news story, and they're responsible for sharing that and making sure that we tell it far and wide. And that's a really interesting job title, I think, and not one that I'd sort of heard of before. And we have social media managers as well. So put your hand up or let your teacher know whether you use social media, whether you use Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, maybe. The majority of us use it for all sorts of reasons. But we have people in our team that basically use social media for their job at Mencap, to make sure that when we're posting things on Mencap's Facebook pages, they sort of choose what to say or what picture to use to go with it, for example, and to make sure that we are getting our message out there into the big wide world in the right way. So they have a really important job. And actually, if we weren't using social media, perhaps a lot of people wouldn't know who we were. So yeah, very important job. And this isn't me saying that this is all the jobs that exist ever. These aren't even all the jobs that exist in Mencap alone. It's just to show you the different types of jobs that there are just in one place in our team. And everybody has a really important role to play within that. And you'll find that in quite a lot of places, especially bigger places, when moving into the world of work. And then there's my job, which also fits in there. I'm a piece of a puzzle, a piece of the puzzle. What do you think an employment caseworker does? Now, if you've got a good memory, you'll remember what I told you at the beginning of the session. And if you think of the word employ, which means to give someone a job, what do you think an employment caseworker does? So what do you think I do, or what do you remember from what I've told you already? So take a minute or so to maybe share it with people next to you, or share your ideas with your teachers, your parents and your carers. What do you think I might do? And feel free to share it in the Q&A box as well, if you've got an idea that you might like to share. Okay, so if you remember from earlier, I mentioned that part of my job is basically helping people find jobs and to feel more confident. But in my day-to-day, I do lots of different types of things. Some things that people might enjoy, some things that people wouldn't. So it involves a lot of different things. Like I said, I help people find jobs. And part of that is talking to people a lot of new people. I meet a lot of people, different types of people, sometimes in groups and sometimes just with one person. And I talk to people a lot about things that they like, things that they dislike, what they want to do for work, what work they've done before, and some of their experiences. So I do a lot of emails and phone calls and Zoom calls. No one really likes phone calls, do they? But you know, I do them as they're part of my job, and it's really important that I'm talking to people and communicating with people in lots of different ways, including my team. And I create a lot of presentations or posters, so a bit like this one that I've created today. I have to do a lot of this for some of the things that I do in my job. And a lot of office tasks as well, like printing and scanning. I have to fill out a lot of different paperwork as well. So when people tell me things, sometimes I have to write them down, and sometimes they get checked too. So that plays quite a big part of my job, as well as planning different activities. This is probably one of my favourite things to do, because it means I can be a bit more creative. So I can plan activities for small groups of people, and generally support my team. And we go to team meetings a lot, and we talk a little bit about, well, we talk all the time about what we're doing and what plans we might have, and whatever the team might need from me, I will support them with that. So if they have any questions, if they need my help with filling out a certain piece of paperwork, then I could maybe help them with that. And a big part of my job is training other people as well, people outside of Mencap. So in a way, it's a little bit like teaching, I suppose. But yeah, I do a lot of training other people, which is fun. I do enjoy that part. But I've not always done this job. And I was saying earlier that sometimes it's important to just try different things before maybe finding a job that you really like, or a job that you really feel like you'd like to stick with. I'll show you very briefly what my job journey is and how I sort of ended up here. And so when I was younger, I think when I was at sixth form or school, I started volunteering at the Befriending Scheme, which is a sort of social hub for people with learning disabilities and old age as well. That wasn't where I am in Manchester, that was in a different place. So I started volunteering there once a week, and I sort of helped people with activities and just spoke to people. And I really enjoyed that. I used to leave with a big smile on my face every week, and it used to really set me up for the day. So yeah, used to really enjoy that. And I also did some volunteering at charity shops. Sort of a few years later, I started volunteering at Bernardo's, which I'm sure you've heard of before. And I really enjoyed that. I just used to do lots of work on the shop floor, organising the clothes and pricing them and things. And I really enjoyed that. I met lots of different people, and I was responsible for lots of different things. And it was really hands-on. So it meant I was always on my feet and I was moving around a lot, which I always really enjoy. I'd say my first sort of types of jobs were actually in restaurants. So I did some work at Burger King for a little while, which I quite enjoyed. I also worked at a Thai food restaurant, which I didn't enjoy so much, but it gave me a lot of experience and skills in customer service. And again, it was a very practical job, so I was on my feet a lot, which was good experience for me, and it meant that I could earn the money that I needed as well. And then I'd say my first proper job, if you like, was working in schools. So I used to deliver a lot of workshops. I used to work with students in classrooms and help them with moving into maybe like university or apprenticeships and things like that. And I used to deliver workshops to help them realise what their skills were and to make them feel more confident. And that kind of led to where I am now, because I do some similar things like this today and sort of helping people directly. And again, this kind of links in with what some of my values are. And you guys would have spoken already about what yours are. And this, again, ties in with some of the things that I enjoy in my current job and my values as an individual. That sort of led me to where I am. I really like helping other people. And I think across all of the jobs, including the volunteering I've done, it's always involved helping someone in some way, whether that's my team or customers, or helping people feel more confident or giving people more information. I really enjoy that. I really like talking to people and finding out what they like and what they dislike, and getting to know other people, which I've been able to do, especially in my past couple of jobs where I've been doing workshops and working in schools and things. I like creating presentations and I like planning activities. And I also like watching people grow in confidence, and that kind of links to me wanting to help people as well. So I'd say as a person, these are some of the values that I have that also tie in with what I enjoy about my current job, which is super, super important. And I keep talking about values because it's something that I find is incredibly important when you're moving into the world of work. And at Mencap, we have our very own set of values. And a lot of the people that we might employ, well, everyone that we employ should have these values. And skills and experience are incredibly important, but actually a lot of the time it's just the type of person that you are as well, and what other things you can bring to a team that are really important. Okay, so we have 5 values: that we're passionate about making the world a better place. So we care about making the world a better place for people with learning disabilities. We're inclusive of everyone, so we make sure that everybody is part of the work that we do. That we're brave, so we challenge things and we try different things. That we're positive in our work and with each other, so we treat everyone well, and we're kind to everyone. Okay, so we're always making sure that we lift people up, that we're supporting people in the right way, and that we're supporting our team as well. And before this session, you might have been asked to have a little look at some of these values. So well done if you managed to find them on the website. And it might have been that some of your personal values link up with some of these that we have at Mencap too. But you'll see that these are all based on the type of person that you are, the things that you care about, which is really, really important. So just to finish off, some sort of top tips I have. They're very sort of general top tips of things that you could think about or things that you could do to help you move forward into the world of work. And one of the biggest sort of pieces of advice I have is to try different hobbies and try different activities. Do different things and see what you enjoy if you can. Even if you try something and you come away from it and you feel like you really didn't like it or you didn't enjoy it, at least you know that you didn't enjoy it, and that will help you make some decisions in the future. And that's the same for volunteering or taking part in work experience, if that is something that you can do. Give different workplaces a go and see and think about what it is that you enjoy about that job, and if it's something that you would maybe like to do. Have a think about your skills, and this sometimes can be difficult because sometimes it can be hard to think of the good things that we can do. And a couple of questions you can ask yourself to help you with this is to think of what other people say that you're good at. There might be something that someone else has seen in you that you might not have noticed about yourself. And what do you enjoy doing? Yeah, so both of those things might help you think about what kind of job you might like to do. Do you like working outside? Would you like to work outside? Do you really like working with animals? Do you really like computers? Are you really good at talking to people? Maybe you're good at a certain activity, maybe you're really artistic, or maybe there's a particular sport that you're really good at. Maybe you're really good with numbers or solving problems. Have a little think about some of the skills that you have and what you could bring to a team. And finally, ask for help if you need it. You know, talk to your friends and family, careers advisors at school and your teachers, and ask for help. If you need it. There is a lot of support out there now, depending on what we would like to do for a job and what sort of route you would like to take. So don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it, whether that is in looking for a job, moving into a job, or even in the job itself. So I'd say they're sort of mainly the top tips. And obviously, if you've got any questions about any of those, then please do let me know. That sort of brings us to the end. So I just want to say a big thank you from me, and leave the floor open to any questions that any of you might have. So if any of you got questions in your groups, just let your teacher know, and if they wouldn't mind, please do type them into the Q&A box, and I will try my best to get to them and answer them if I can.
Thanks very much, Jackelyn. Let's just give everybody a minute or two to have a little bit of a chat and give people a chance to put their questions or comments in there. But that was an amazing presentation, really helpful. Really, even for me, I'm not a student, I'm a person who works. I found the top tips at the end really, really good, and hopefully people will remember some of those. And there's lots of people you can speak to. I think you're absolutely right. You know, talk to different people. You know, everybody will know somebody who has a job. Everybody will know people who have maybe several jobs or have done several jobs. So sometimes just talking is like one of the very basic, simple things you can do just to gain information.
Yeah.
And just to remind everybody again, even if you can't actually access GMAX on your own, do ask a teacher or ask a parent or a carer or even a friend or a brother or sister to maybe help you get onto that on the internet. Just leave it another 30 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what? I think everyone's just like really full of energy, and I think everyone's probably just chatting, and kind of everyone's got loads of different things to say, and maybe the teacher's struggling to decide what to say. Yeah, I mean, that's great. And you know, obviously, you know, we do have the time to 11 o'clock. If people don't necessarily want to come on and ask a question, or you'd actually maybe find the time better to just chat amongst yourselves and kind of, you know, swap ideas, give feedback to one another about what you thought, what kind of things are you think? Oh, somebody there.
Yeah, no, it's Diane. Sorry, Claire. We've just got a couple in the chat.
Oh, brilliant.
Do you want me to refer to them or leave it with
you?
you?
No, I'll have a look. I'm sorry, I couldn't see them popping up in the Q&A. I do apologise.
No, brilliant.
Oh, fantastic. Yes. Okay, I can see some here. I do apologise.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so one question's come through here, and again, it's St Monica's. So thank you, St Monica's. And they're asking, what GCSEs will I need?
What GCSEs will you need? I think sometimes it depends on what it is that you would like to do. I'd always say your maths and your English are probably the most important ones. If you can get a grade C or above in your maths and English. But again, sometimes it does depend on what kind of job you might like to do, if there is something that you have in mind. And I think when it comes to GCSEs, the most important thing is that you're doing things that you enjoy. Because GCSEs can be difficult, and if you're not doing the subjects that you enjoy, then it might not benefit you in the long run. But I'd say your maths and English are maybe the most important ones to focus on in terms of jobs for the future, because that's one that a lot of employers will look for.
Definitely. And just to go back, sometimes it's not necessarily about the qualifications, although maths and English, as Jackelyn said, are really important. But as Jackelyn said earlier on in the presentation a couple of times, it's also about identifying what your good skills are, what skills you've already got, and working out what they are. And if a certain job needs a certain skill, how you can work on getting that skill or doing it a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I've worked with a couple of people that haven't been able to get their GCSEs for a number of reasons, and they've either sort of done the qualifications again at sort of college at an older age, or they've just gained experience and used that experience for the better to help them get the types of jobs that they want. But yes, do focus on your GCSEs. Very important.
Definitely, absolutely. And another question that's come in is how many hours do you usually work a day?
Me personally, so I do about 7.5 hours a day, and that includes a half an hour lunch. So yeah, so I'll start work at about 8:30 in the morning and I finish at about 4:30, which doesn't work for everybody, I'll admit. So some people might prefer to do fewer days a week, or maybe just work half a day. It just depends on what type of job you apply for, where it is, and what options they have for the types of hours that they can offer, basically. But yeah, mine is what you would call a 9 to 5 job, except I work 8:30 to 4:30.
Yeah, and some jobs aren't even on a weekday. It might be like you say, depending on what the type of job or what kind of environment you're in. It could be evening work, it could be early morning work, it could be weekends, it could be a mixture of all of those things. But a really good question nonetheless. Thank you. Okay, that seems to be it, Jackelyn. I don't know if you want to add anything very finally before we wrap up.
No, just to say thank you really for taking part in this session today and to listen to me waffling on for nearly an hour. So thank you very much for sticking with me, and I hope that you have been able to take something useful away from it. If you have any questions in the future, or if you think of anything after the session, I'm sure they'll get back to me somehow, and I'll be more than happy to help. Yeah, I mean, if anyone wants my contact details as well, sort of teachers or things, then I'll be more than happy to help in that way. Yeah. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, from me and Tom, and on behalf of everybody, I just really like to thank you so much for your presentation, and the sort of the activities and the discussion points that you've allowed everybody to get involved with today. I really think anyone that's been able to join in and participate will have definitely come away with some new information and something maybe they'd like to explore or investigate in a little bit more detail, whether that's on their own, whether that's with a teacher, whether that's at home with a parent or carer. So thank you so much for that. And thank you, of course, indeed, to all the people that have tuned in to be with us on the live call this morning. You know, as I say, go away, have a think about what's been said, and have a little think about what you might do next with all of this information. Just a reminder again about GMACS, so that's GMACS. Have a little look at GMACS. You might be able to do that alone, or you might do that with support from a teacher or a friend or maybe somebody at home. Thanks also to the teachers, parents, carers listening. We will hopefully, Tom, I don't know if you can just do that for me, if you could possibly put the GMACS link on, and if you could also put the link for the feedback form. I would ask teachers, parents, carers to maybe take some time to complete this. As a team at Bridge DM, we're always keen to provide the best possible resources and information for schools and colleges to use with their students, and we really do rely on your feedback and evaluation so that we can ever improve what we have to support you and your son, daughter, students with your careers programmes. So once again, thanks so much to Jackelyn, thanks to Tom, and to all of you for being with us on the session. Enjoy the rest of your day, and it's goodbye from me.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.